Jay in Austin. Are you there, Jay?
Yes, sir, I am.
What's on your mind?
I hadn't called y'all in a long time.
Okay.
I recognize you.
Yeah, I know you.
I know you do. Well, my question would be this, because I'm a Korean vet. I'm also a Native American. I don't believe in the Bible, but I have my own, what Matt used to say, outlandish spiritual belief in a way. And,
Okay.
But anyway, what I was wondering, did she run across this in the service? Because I know when I was in Korea, we, as the Native American, was always put to the front to go out on patrol because they said we had exceptionally good hearing and all of this. But when it came to going back to the church services, most of us had our own way of doing things, and I guess they thought we were stupid or something, but we had like more or less our own little powwows with our own fire and stuff like this, what we did. And there was another point. I am a gay man. So I was wondering about your guess. What did she run into in this similarity? But to us, I'll put it this way, like I say, if we were Native Americans, I always said we had better hearing, which I do believe in, and I felt like it was true. But they told us when we had to go to church, the Catholic priest come in, I just ignored him sometimes. It looked like, what, you're rude or something. But I didn't want to be brought up into it because I was brought up into the Christian church and pulled away from it after really studying it and everything. But also then, what was strange, I never openly admitted to being gay until I was late in life. But the gay guys that were open about it, they were made houseboys and waited on the officers in the quarters and stuff like that. And there's one or two of them up there that didn't have religion. They didn't believe in it, that were gay. And all this comes out. So, I mean, it's a circle. And being in the military like that, you did feel prejudice in the sense of what was brought against you for as in being, race-wise to me, and then also not being a religious person.
Okay. So what's your question for Kathleen, Jay?
Yeah, since she was in the military, what did she hear about any of this? Because now I understand that it's more open. Back there then, they didn't say nothing unless they really called them doing, for houseboys or stuff like that.
So we're talking about ethnic minorities, we're talking about gays, and we're also talking about atheists all at the same time.
Yeah, it was all mixed together in that thing when I was there, so I don't know.
Maybe you can compare and contrast.
I could tell you right now, as it stands right now in the service, we haven't done any scientific studies on it, but I believe gays have it worse in the service than non-theists do. Because even when a non-theist is afraid to come out to their commanders, even when they feel like they have to hide who they are, there are no regulations prohibiting us from joining the service. And there's no regulations that automatically say if we admit to being non-theists, we have to be discharged from the service. And I spent most of my career in military law enforcement, and while I have heard of numerous non-theists being threatened and actions having to be taken because of those threats, I have never heard of a non-theist being injured because they were a non-theist. And that's not true with gays. There have been gays in the military, even people who maybe were not gay but were suspected of being gay, who have been injured and occasionally killed in a couple of very publicized stories like what happened at Fort Campbell a few years ago. So right now, they've got a tougher row to hoe they got a tougher path than we do. But this don't ask, don't tell. That's all up for debate now. There's going to be some changes with regards to.
Hopefully soon.
I would think that if don't ask, don't tell gets repealed, that would make the legal issues easier, but it wouldn't stop what you were talking about regarding getting killed.
It's still a matter. It's one thing to change policy, but something completely different to change what's going on in people's heads. But there are a lot of strong opinions on that issue in the military, but I have always been, just me personally, I'm not speaking for American Atheists or anything, me personally, I've always believed it's time to just drop the ban and let them in, because I don't believe in our current equal opportunity climate that it's right to let the bigots dictate the terms, basically. You need to set a standard. The standard is that they can come in and they can serve, and then it's up to the leaders to enforce the standard. You don't let the bigots dictate how the house is going to be run.
All right. Now, I'm sure that if you're an atheist, they can still come up with some other reason to get rid of you, but they can't come out and say, well, it's because
there's
you're
no
not
regulation that says if you're a non-believer, we have to chapter you out under this regulation and put you out of the service. There's nothing like that, and there is right now for gays.
And what about racial minorities? Is that problem largely solved in the military, or is it just like the rest of the United States?
Yeah, there's still, at least it's been my personal experience from my position as a non-commissioned officer in the Army. I've never been in any other branch of service, so I can't speak so much for the other branches. But there are still individual instances of racism because, again, it all comes down to people, and people are gonna say and do things. But as to systematic, organized racism, I think we have come a long, long way, probably ahead of, in some ways, of the civilian population of making progress there.
Yeah.
Well, if we can go by the war movies that I've seen, every unit has to have a representative sample of a whole bunch of different minorities, and each one of them has to be a quirky stereotype of their particular.
That must be how it works, right? Yeah. Jay, did you have anything else?
There should be more or more atheist.
I was just
movies.
really curious as what went on because it seemed like, well, we caught double duty, being, like I said, Native American, because I always said we had better hearing. And I had a lieutenant, it was real strange. He came and he always would confide in me on his problems. And he more or less thought, well, okay, so we didn't believe exactly like, because if he cheated on his wife, which a lot of them did over there, then they come back and they would say, well, maybe, hey, we had a different way of believing that his conscience wouldn't bother him so much, I think. And, I mean, it was really strange what you put up with him when you were in the service, and it was so many ways, and I just said, crap. I didn't open up, didn't do nothing, and I just said, take it as it comes. And I thank y'all for listening.
All right,
Thank you.
Nice to hear from you again, Jay.